A new report by Amnesty International says about 112 people have been killed and thousands displaced in communities in Kaduna and Plateau states between July and August 5 this year. It blames the Nigerian authorities for the bloody attacks in those communities. The group says that the authorities have not done enough to avert the bloodshed and protect lives and properties. They're asking the government to bring perpetrators of the violent attacks to book before issuing statements to condemn the attacks.
And now we have the CEO and founder of the security firm Beacon Consulting, Dr. KABIRU ADAMU. He joins us remotely for a quick look at these security issues. Good to have you, Dr. KABIRU.
Thank you, Amaka. Good evening.
Let's begin with this major story, if you like, of, the surrendered members of Boko Haram and other people. Now, we're talking about top commanders, bomb experts, and the likes. Does this suggest that, indeed, Nigeria is winning the war, the battle against these insurgents, indeed?
Now, to give a context to all of this, I think we need to go back to when the leader of one of the factions, that is Jamaat al-Ahli al-Dawati wal-Jihad, died in May. It was the beginning of an offensive by the other faction, which is the Islamic State in West Africa province. Now, immediately after that death, information started coming out indicating that the Islamic State in West Africa province, ISWAP, was giving the former members of the Jamaat al-Ahli al-Dawati wal-Jihad option to either join their ranks or, as it were, to return to the Nigerian military, and threatening that if they do return to the Nigerian military, they will be killed. And so that is what we saw happening in especially three local governments, Bama, Konduga, and to an extent Jere. And a lot of these former members opted to return to the Nigerian military as against joining ISWAP for unknown reasons, and same thing with their families. And so that is what we're seeing at the moment. On the other hand, ISWAP also started restructuring, where, from the information available to us, it has set up four different leadership bases where it will be operating from. And so that has given the Nigerian military, I think, and the better opportunity to target the smaller sort of groups. And this is the result of what we're seeing, a lot of them surrendering to the Nigerian military. It's also very important to mention that the offensive interdiction operations by the Nigerian military may have cut off the supplies to these camps. And so life in those camps became extremely difficult for some of these groups. And the result is them surrendering, of course.
All right, KABIRU, before we talk about the criticisms that the army is getting, let's talk about this welfare flight, its impacts on soldiers' morale, and what more can be done, to boost the morale of the soldiers who are defending the territory of Nigeria.
I think this is a very good development. One of the complaints that we've been, sort of getting in terms of the atmospherics within the Northeast is this complaint by soldiers that their deployments are too long. Some of them have been there for 6 years. Let's remember the insurgency is about 12 years now. And so some of them have been there for longer than the traditional 2 years that they should be there. They should be there. And anyone who knows warfare knows leaving a soldier for that longer period would affect his morale, it would affect his mentality. And sometimes we've received reports of some soldiers killing themselves or even shooting at their commander. So these types of opportunities to allow them to visit their family, to take them out of the theater of conflict, as it were, I think it's very good, not just for their morale, but also for their mental stability.
Right, let's take a look at, the Hunters Council and the Nigerian Hunters Bill. 10 years before now, I suppose that this will not be a conversation that we'll necessarily be having. But because of where we find ourselves as a nation, battling insurgency, banditry, and all of these abductions, it's a necessary one. What do you say about this? Isn't it even long overdue?
So I must confess I haven't seen the bill, and so I don't know its content. But there are a couple of things that come to my mind. We do have a national security architecture. So how is this process that the hunters are proposing going to fit into the national security architecture? I'm aware that we've got the forest guards, if I'm right, that is under the Ministry of Agriculture. It would appear to me that a more logical thing to do is to subsume this initiative by the hunters into that department in the Ministry of Forestry. So until I see the bill and see the structure, I'm afraid that we're weaponizing Nigeria. There are too many organizations and institutions that are trying to play a role in the national security architecture. And that's not a bad thing, essentially, but they must be incorporated into the architecture in such a manner that there will be transparency, there would be accountability, and issues around heavy-handedness and abuse of their whatever authorities they're given should be checked. And one of the easiest ways is to ensure the structure through which they go in has that possibility to audit them and hold them accountable. That's what I hope to see in that bill.
Right, KABIRU, just take about 50 seconds to tackle this. What do you make of the new report by Amnesty International? Does it prick you that Amnesty never seems to have a good report about Nigeria government or the army, or am I wrong?
Not only that, the last report it released, where it focused on the Southeast, I had reason to criticize that report, and I cited the do no harm principle, which is a humanitarian principle that says if you are operating in another country, you should not seek to, harm that country, as it were. So I'm a bit worried that Amnesty is focusing on what I'll call sectional issues. Now, Plateau and Benue, I haven't seen that report, but it's likely that we are talking about southern Kaduna to an extent, and then some parts of Plateau. Now, the reason why I say this is that there are two groups involved in all of this. If you are going to do a report, then try to balance it and give the sides of both. If you give only one side, then you are not helping the situation. What you are doing is you're actually expanding the issues that are driving the violence, unfortunately.
Right. Dr. Kabir Adamu, security consultant, thank you for your thoughts there.